Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of my podcast. Today, I'll be talking about solitude, faith, and purpose. Let's just call it living a purposeful life. Okay, so this is an important topic that I think every person, every human being should understand. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing with you 7 processes to embark on to live a purposeful life. 7 processes to embark on to live a purposeful life. And guess what? Once you understand these 7 processes and you put in the right structures for them, you realize that you are living a more meaningful life and you are happier, more excited than ever before. So are we ready to go in? Are we ready? Okay. So, number 1. Self-awareness to destroy identity crisis. That's very important. Self-awareness to destroy identity crisis. The first thing you want to fix on your journey is your identity. If you are still struggling with identity crisis, you can never live a purposeful life. Your life will be in so much chaos. You'll be in a confused state for a long time. And sadly, many people have been confused in life for such a long time. Right? And it's affecting them. So, let's talk about you. Do you know your identity? Do you know your identity? Your identity is basically who you are. Your identity is who you are. And, one thing I want to also point out here is that there's this question that we are always asked. Who are you? Who are you? Many years ago, when people ask me questions like, who are you? Okay, I'll start by saying, I am, probably when I was in school, I can say I'm a student in this university, I'm currently studying accounting, I'm doing this and that. And when I was done with school, and maybe, I got to start my writing business. Someone asked me, who are you? I'll start by highlighting my credentials about how I have built a successful writing brand and how I have achieved XYZ in my career. And it got to a point that I didn't realize that, no, that's not who I am. That's secondary. That's not who I am. Who I am should first start with my identity in God. It should first start with my identity in God. So when I caught that realm, I was like, wow, this is profound. Because when you define who you are based on your material things, your success, and what you think you have achieved with your business or your career or whatever, you're limiting all the things that God has put inside of you. You're limiting your own fulfillment. You're limiting your own success. So it's a dangerous thing to live a life that is dependent on just material things, just your credentials, just your achievement. No, that is not who you are. And like me, there are a lot of people here, probably even you watching me now, when people ask you who are you, you probably start by identifying your career achievements, where you're working, your skills. Those things are fantastic, right? But they should not come first. Okay? They should not come first. Now, your identity should come from God first. So you need to identify who you are in God. And there's a scripture that I love so much. I love the scripture so much because of the choice of words, and it's a perfect scripture for anybody who is or who needs to get out of identity crisis, who needs to get in touch with God as his or her identity visionary, basically, right? It says, but ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and holy nation, a peculiar people, that ye should show forth praises of him who has called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. That's 1 Peter 2 verse 9. Now, if you listen to those words, you see that God is saying that you are a chosen generation. God is saying that you are a royal priesthood. He's saying that you are a peculiar person. He took time to design your life. Now, if you don't know that this is what God is calling you, you go around the world living like a slave. You go around the world showing up less than what God has designed your life for. So what do you need to do going forward? Shut down from the world and be alone with God. Just for a few hours, just for a day, just for a weekend, just for a week, whatever the case is. Shut down from the world and be alone with God. We live in a world that is very noisy. Everybody wants to be out there. Everybody wants to be making movements. Everybody wants to talk. But how many people are sitting quietly, alone with themselves? Many people think that it's boring to be alone with themselves. But guess what? Being alone with God and just yourself, it gives you so much clarity about your identity. On several occasions, I have shut down from the world, shut down from work, business, social media, whatever, WhatsApp, everything. I shut down. No calls, no conversations from external sources, just me and God. I did that many times, and the result was just mind-blowing. Okay? So when you are in solitude with God, so that brings us to what that is called, solitude. And when we say solitude, I'm not just saying solitude just being alone. No, it has to be with God, right? So you have to start by praying, worshiping, studying the word, meditating, and let God reveal himself to you. Let God tell you who you are to you. All right? I've done this, I remember doing this a couple of times, but it was so profound when I did it at the time. And I was just like, okay, God, who am I really? Like, who am I? Yes, I have a successful career. I'm doing this for the world. I'm impacting the world. But who exactly am I? I was like, God, show me who I am. Show me who I am. Like, let me just know. So I didn't just want to have more like an assumption or a definition in my head. I wanted to have keywords. I wanted to have the words in my eyes, in my hands rather. All right. I wanted to have the words in my heart so that I can know this is exactly who I am. And God just revealed to me, you are the daughter of a king. So God is the king, I am his daughter. So it was so profound. I was like, wow, I am the daughter of a king. And I just wrote it down like, I'm the daughter of a king. And God inspired me to write a book in honor of myself. That was like a poem, right? So I titled it Enobong, because my full name is Enobong, daughter of a king. And it was so profound. Two things then happened, because I don't believe in coincidences, right? One thing about being alone with God and having koinonia with God, having a personal work and relationship with God, is that certain things will begin to happen that you think it's a coincidence, but it's not necessarily a coincidence, right? So when I said, oh, wow, I'm the daughter of a king, right? I stood up and I was like, okay, I'm going to write a book in honor of myself. I was so excited. So I was walking out of my house, and as I was walking out of my house, a car just parked in front of me. And I was like, who is this? Because I was just like strolling, basically. And the person just put down his glass, right? And I was like, okay. I was like, oh, he was looking at me like someone that he knew. And, looking at him, I was like, I don't know this person. I don't know. But it was more like an elderly man. And he said, oh, sorry, whose daughter are you? I was like, what kind of question is this? Like, daughter. In my mind, I was like, I just finished saying I'm a daughter of a king from my house and I'm stepping out. And you're asking me whose daughter am I? I was just like, okay. He was saying, actually, what got to that whose daughter are you? Was the words I said to myself. But what he asked me in essence, the actual word he said was, are you the daughter of Mr. XYZ? So he mentioned the name of someone, basically. And I didn't know that person. So I was like, no, sir, I'm not. Good morning, sir. So I greeted him and I was like, no, I'm not the daughter of that person. And he said, oh, my apologies. You look like the daughter of that person. He mentioned the name. Right? And I was like, oh, I'm not. And he said, okay, that's fine. Have a great day ahead. And that's how we left. I was like, how I interpreted that question was, whose daughter are you? And it was so striking and profound. Like, wow. Now, after that happened, when I got back home, I was basically like scrolling through YouTube as I usually do, because I love to study a lot, especially watch videos by my teachers, my global teachers, So when I just stumbled on a particular video, a song, and it just said "Son of a King." If you're following me on Facebook, if ever you've seen me use that song 1,001 times, when I saw that song, I was like, "Of a king, son of a king." And the song was so profound. And if you know me very well, I love gospel rap. So I was like, "Wow, son of a king." Oh my gosh. I just finished from a conversation with someone who was asking me, "Whose daughter are you?" And now I'm seeing a song that says "Son of a King." And I was like, whoa. So really, this revelation was really profound. So I'm the daughter of a king, son of a king. And that was just what made me feel like, yes, I'm really understanding my identity, and it's not a coincidence. So when you get to that point in your life, when you understand that God comes first before every other person, you will no longer be roaming around like a slave. So right now, I move with the confidence that I'm the king's daughter. I am the daughter of a king. All right. My identity is so clear, and away from credentials, away from a successful career, my identity is in God. So why did I share all these things? Why did I share all these stories? I'm sharing them so that you can understand that there is power in connecting with God as your source, as your ultimate source, as your ultimate source of identity. Now let's go back to the second thing you want to do. The second thing you want to do on your journey to living a purposeful life is to embrace internal validation from God and yourself, not people. So where do you find the meaning of life from? Where do you get your validation from? Are you getting your validation from people so that if they say you are not good enough, you believe that? If they say that you are nothing to write home about, you believe that? You should be asking yourself, what is God saying about me, and what am I saying about myself? So your internal validation should come from yourself, not any other person. For a moment, let's just know the difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is different from solitude. As my global teacher, Bishop R.C. Blakes, will always say, that loneliness is the longing of your soul for presence. The longing of your soul for presence. Now, every human being has that longing. Like, you just need a presence. You cannot just be all by yourself. You just need presence. Okay. Now, the question now is, whose presence are you so interested in having? Whose presence are you craving for? Now, I just talked about having your identity in God. When your identity in God is solid, you will have to crave the presence of God first before any other person. God first, others can come next. So you have to build yourself inside out, not outside in. When you build yourself inside out, you are working based on who God says I am, who I know I am in God. Then you're expressing it to the world. But if you're building outside in, it means that everything going on around you will now define who you are, which is a very pathetic way, because you cannot control what's going on around you. But you can control what's going on inside of you. Okay? So you build inside out, not outside in. You take what God says about you as priority before any other person. So two things are very important. What is God saying about you, and what are you saying about yourself? Many people are failing in life. Many people are not living purposeful life because they have so many negative self-talks in their heads. Once in a while, a negative self-talk can just flash in your mind. But what do? You cancel it immediately and go on your positive affirmations. Avoid negative self-talk, because whatever you say to yourself is very important. Those things, those little words you say to yourself in your quiet time when you are alone, it has so much impact on your life. So right now, write down all the positive things you want to say about yourself. For me, I had to write a book, Daughter of a King. I wrote down sacred words that I speak to myself every morning. I speak to myself every day. Like, this is who I am. This is what God is saying I am. And this is what I am saying I am. I don't care about what anybody has to say. I care more about what God has to say and what I have to say. Others can come next. So I've built my own internal validation system based on God and myself. There's a kind of confidence that comes with knowing who you are and then saying the words to yourself. Okay? So in summary, for this particular point, I would say spend the first few minutes of each day with God and yourself. All right, spend the first few minutes of each day with God and yourself. Those quiet moments, of the morning, they're so impactful. I've experienced this so many times. So many revelations I get comes like early mornings when I'm like in koinonia and I'm just thinking, meditating. I just have a lot of confidence in myself every morning. So start your morning with that clarity, and also get to set your to-do list for the day based on that. I like setting my to-do list for the day after my sessions with God, because the energy just flows. So you're coming from a place where you're already validating yourself based on God's identity of you, and then boom, you're writing the to-do list for the day. So it just connects easily. Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3, redefine progress and fulfillment in life. Guess what? Many people are depressed in life. Why are they depressed? They are depressed because somebody else is doing better than them. Somebody else just achieved a particular success milestone before them, and then they are depressed. They are angry. And while I was trying to understand why does this thing really happen, I realized that this trauma actually started from childhood for everybody, almost everybody. The trauma started from childhood. So I was once a school teacher, basically, and there was a particular student a pupil, basically, who, let's say last term, he had the first position. He came as the first position, with the first position, and he had a score of 85% for first position, right? Then the next term, he had a score of 90% with second position. And guess what? He was crying. He was upset. Oh, I came second. Oh, I would have come first. I came second. But meanwhile, he did not notice that he moved from 85 to 90. So are you seeing that this trauma started from childhood? Because most parents want you to come first, but they would not check if you've improved. Your personal result have improved. So we've all grown up with that mindset, and then when you grow up, you start defining your success, your fulfillment, your progress based on who is doing better than you, or who has come before you, or who has gone ahead of you. So you need to have clarity on how you redefine your purpose. Reinvent yourself. Practice my productivity formula, which is PQAP. It's personal questions and answers phase. This is all about you asking yourself questions in your solitude, in your place of solitude. Okay, asking yourself questions and embracing change and seasons. Embracing change. You cannot afford to be the same person you were. I always tell people that it's an error to be the same person you were last year. It's an error to be the same person you were 2 years ago, 5 years ago. That's why I'm always improving. I'm always growing. I'm always better. You cannot meet me today, right? If you met me by this time last year and you're meeting me now, it's not the same person you're seeing. It can never be the same person, because a lot would have changed. Every month I ask myself a question: what have you achieved so far? Who were you before? Who are you now? Who do you want to become? All those questions will help you to adjust your life so that you begin to walk in the fulfillment of what God has proposed for you. You begin to walk in your own divine purpose in life. Understand that everybody is on different journeys. What works for another person might not work for you. So you need to identify what is your own journey. Celebrate other people. It's quite sad when people see other people succeeding and then they start feeling jealous, having envy, and feeling depressed. That shows that you are empty of your identity. You are empty of your own sense of fulfillment, your own sense of purpose. Because when your cup is full, when you have a purposeful life going on for you, you will not care about other people who are achieving record successes. You would not care about other people who are doing great, even greater than you, because you are on your own journey. The fact that you are not there yet does not mean that you're not going to be there in future. So you are on your own journey in life. Understand this. You are on your own journey in life. So stop comparing yourself with other people. If you must compare yourself with someone else, let it be like a form of motivation. Like, oh my God, this person just did this. Oh, I celebrate him. I celebrate her. I look forward to doing something like this in future. That's a more exciting way. Celebrate other people. Have a joyful heart. One of the fruits of the Spirit is joy. If you are always sad about other people's successes, you cannot grow. But when you celebrate other people, the same thing you celebrated will come to you. All right. So reinvent yourself and redefine progress. Progress is you being better than who you were yesterday. Progress is not you overtaking someone else. Progress is you being better than who you were yesterday. Okay? So let's go over to number 4. The fourth thing you need to do to understand how to live a purposeful life is to define your values and priorities. When you define your values and priorities, then you only engage in actions that align with them. Most times, people are frustrated and upset, not necessarily because of anything so complicated, but just because their lives are filled with activities that do not reflect their values. They are just going on to do things. I always say that activity is different from progress. The fact that you are busy with different activities doesn't mean you're making progress. In fact, at this point, let me share a quote that I love so much. Scott Clary. In fact, I had to write down that quote and I was like, what? I love this quote. Clary says, true productivity is not about doing more, but doing less with more impact. Your goal is not to fill up your day, but to empty it of the unnecessary. Did you catch that? Did you catch it? Now let me read it again slowly. True productivity is not about doing more, but doing less with more impact. Your goal is not to fill up your day, but to empty it of the unnecessary. So how do you know what is unnecessary in your life? You have to know your goals, your priorities, your values, so that you begin to design your actions or begin to select your actions based on what your values are and what your priorities are. Okay? So understand these things. These are principles. These are principles for your kingdom. All right? Because in life, you are governing a kingdom, and every kingdom should have principles. Every kingdom should have a constitution, a guiding constitution. What is your constitution? Your values. What are the principles you stand by? So, for example, before I take any action, I ask myself, does this thing align with where I am? Does it align with my values? Is this a priority to me right now? Because something can be good, but not right for you to do right now. Something can be amazing, but not the most suitable action for you to take right now. But if you do not have clarity about your values and your priorities, you'll be jumping from one place to another, and you will be so filled with activities and with lesser results. And when you see that you are not making a lot of progress and not getting kind of results you want, you start getting depressed. Meanwhile, you are the one that went around doing all these things without checking if they align with your values. Okay? So to know who you are, you need to know who you are not. To know who you are, you need to know who you are not. Knowing who you are not helps you to delete everything that does not connect with your values. Okay? So now, what's the fifth thing that you need to do on your journey to living a purposeful life? You need to pre-qualify the voices that you listen to. I can't overemphasize this. I need to say this again. Pre-qualify the voices that you listen to, because the voices you listen to have so much impact in your life. You cannot afford to joke with it. Right? Your soul is based on, or your soul is defined based on what you allow into the gates of your mind. What are you allowing into the gates of your mind? Are you just allowing everybody to speak into your life? Someone can just come and tell you, oh, you are this, and then you accept it. You are that, you accept it. This one tells you this, you accept them. And then they begin to accumulate into your mindset and make you feel less of yourself, leading you to depression, when you could have just shut down those voices. Pre-qualify the voices that you listen to. The gates of your mind are your eyes, what you see. What are you seeing? For some of you who are very active on social media, I mean, this is social media era. What are you seeing? What's your news feeds like? Because whether you like it or not, no matter how strong you think you are, those things are going into your soul. They're going into your mind to shape the perception that you have of life. So if you're not intentional about what you see, you are really corrupting your mind. Then your ears, what do you listen to? As a rule for me, I don't listen to crappy things that demotivate me, things that make me feel triggered or confused or less excited. All those kind of things. I don't like listening to such news. Don't tell me. I don't want to hear it, because you might feel like you are giving the gist of life, or you are trying to tell somebody what's up and all that. But those things really, really, really affect your life. It affects how you live your life. Okay? So pre-qualify the voices permitted into your life. Be intentional. And then you need to also ask God for direction. You see, we're talking about solitude, faith, and purpose here. 3 of them work hand in hand. So you have to have solitude, you have to have faith in God, and then you have to walk in purpose. Right? So be intentional. Ask God for directions. Like, God, where do you want me to go? Because where you go to also defines what you hear and who speaks into your life. Ask God to give you clarity on who you listen to. There are some people that have pre-qualified to have a say in my life. Their voices are very powerful in my life. Okay? Because I have taken time to study them over and over again. You have to study people. You must not listen to everybody. Study people and ask yourself, okay, does this person's values align with mine? Do you think that you should be listening to this person? These are questions to ask yourself. Then another thing is the conversations that you entertain. Very important. What are the conversations that you entertain? All these things are affecting your soul. So it's either you're intentional about them, or you just live your life anyhow, allowing anything to go into your soul, soak into your mind, and corrupt you. Because if you are listening to the wrong voices, or if you've approved the wrong voices in your life, you can never live a purposeful life. You will always be depressed. You will always be under pressure, under tension, and you will always be sad. So you find yourself being so sad, you want to ask yourself, who have I been listening to? And stop listening to those people you've been listening to who have been making you sad, and start listening to people who are more positive. Right? So that's number 5 rather. Then the next thing is have purposeful friends. Have purposeful friends. Yes, we're talking about solitude and all that, but there's a place for solitude and there's a place for having purposeful friends. Very important. You need support systems, you need people, but you need the right people in your life. These are people that you can talk about purpose together, talk about growth together, talk about success together, talk about your identity. Nobody's feeling under pressure to do this. If one person wins, everybody celebrates that person without feeling pressure to do this or that, just to meet up with a certain class. No. Everybody is celebrated. Everybody's win is celebrated. So those are the kind of close friends you need to have. You need friends with the right values. That's why you need to know your values. If you don't know your values, you'll just be accepting friendships anyhow, and then later you then discover that, okay, I've been betrayed, I've lived below capacity because of this company I've been keeping and all that. But you didn't check if these values were in alignment before you allowed a very close relationship, right? So check out people's values. What are your values? And then the people that you constantly surround yourself with, do they have the same values with you? No matter how strong you are, your network will affect your output. The people I can tell a lot about who you are based on the people that I see you call your friends. I can tell a lot about who you are based on who your friends are. There are some conversations that your friends will be having, and I know that, okay, if this person is your friend, then what kind of conversation have you guys been having? Right? So you need to have friends that align with your values. Okay? And this also even spreads to relationships and marriage as well, because you living a purposeful life is also like a foundational work that helps you to know who is fit to be your partner as well. Alright, if you read the Let's Talk Youth book where we talked about relationship, marriage, I invited amazing co-authors to come share on relationship. They all said the same thing: values, alignment of purpose. Right? So these are the things that the foundational things you do to set up your life properly, so that you can accommodate the right partner, you can accommodate the right purposeful friends in your life. Okay? Then finally, number 7, find your passion. I have to put this last because it's the final thing you do after you've done the internal work, after you've fixed your mindset, you've fixed your life. This is the last thing you do. Find your passion. What is that thing that brings you fulfillment even when you're not paid for it? Everything you do in life should not necessarily be about what they are paying you for. If it's all about what they are paying you for, then you don't have a life. You don't have a purposeful life. What can you do that just gives you fulfillment, whether or not you are paid? You need to understand what those things are. For me, I love drawing. I love artworks. I love painting. Right? And at a point I stopped painting and I was so busy with projects, business, career, and all that, until God ministered to me that, hey, you need to go back to your passion, not necessarily what you're doing to get paid, but your own passion, what's inside of you. My fictional stories, I used to love writing a lot of fictional stories and all that, and God is saying, go back to that. In fact, there was time I wrote a fictional story on Facebook. It was titled To the Man I Once Loved. That was in 2017. That post went viral and people were super inspired. So the man I once loved, so they were thinking that it was probably a real physical man that I was in love with, or probably a husband or something like that. But when they were, because of the way I wrote the story, and at the end they found out that, it was Jesus she was talking about. So Jesus she was talking about, that Jesus was her lover. And then it was just a very interesting story, and everybody connected to it and they loved it. We had over 25,000 likes for that video, for that article rather, that story, 8,000 shares, and there was no sponsored ads. It was just on my profile. And it was so amazing. Lives were blessed, people were connected, and God was saying, this is who you are. This is who you are. Alright? You are the daughter of a king. You are a kingdom representative. You should come out and do the things that you are passionate about. That nobody paid me for that article, but thousands of lives were inspired. So I had to go back to my painting, my drawing, my writing, and all those things. I'm also passionate about youth empowerment. That's why I wrote the free Let's Talk Youth book, right? And we distributed it for free to young people. Those things cost me resources. They're not free to produce at all, but they cost me money to put together. They cost me resources. They cost me sleepless nights. And guess what? When I was writing this book, over 400 pages, I was stressed out, but I was super excited. Every night I was reading this book. This book had over 80,000 words, or nearly 80,000 words, but I know the book was so big because we featured authors, and as an editor, I already have the skills, for book writing. So I was able to gather everybody's thought, arrange everything, and it was so stressful, but I enjoyed every process. Why? This was me fulfilling my purpose. This was me doing something I was so passionate about. So find that thing that excites you. Find that thing that gives you so much fulfillment. It doesn't have to give you money. And I always tell people that money is the least thing that can make you happy in life. If the only thing that makes you happy in life is money, then you are not living a purposeful life. You're not living a purposeful life. Money cannot be the only thing. Money is powerful. Money is important for living a meaningful life, basically, a reasonable life. Because how would you pay your bills? How would you sort out the necessary things you need to survive in life? How would you sort out your food, your shelter, and what have you, right? Money is important, but money should not be the only thing that you live your life for. If that's what you live your life for, ultimately, you are going to be someone who would eventually get depressed. These are the things. It's not about the money. It's about who you are. It's about what your identity is, about your purpose. So this has been a long one, and I just had to share this, pour out my heart to share this. I hope this has inspired you. Let me know which of these points stood out for you, and have you been inspired? Let me know. Thank you so much for coming to watch or listen to my podcast today, and I am glad that I've been able to share this, put this out there, and inspire as many people as would watch this video or would listen to me. I hope that God gives you the revelation you need of yourself. I hope that going forward, you live a more purposeful life and you begin to become what God has carefully designed you to be. Have a great day ahead, and bye for now.